Her and her husband have several businesses. She was in the hairdresser business, met Tony after going through some situations, single mom, had a salon, and just met him, fell in love, and he has a construction company. And the two collided like two stars in the night, and the rest is history. They have a beautiful home up in Montana, and I tell you what, it's God's country up there. Matter of fact, her backyard where she lives is God's country. That pizza kitchen, now that things are opening up, I'm just like, how far is that away from Orange County? Without further ado, Regional Drive Vice President Platinum, the one and only, incomparable Miss Jocelyn Driskill. Can we give her some hand and show her some love? Good morning.
So great to be here with you this bright, beautiful Monday morning and hearing all of the love that you were showered with over the, the weekend. You more than deserve everything that you talked about. We all love you. And I love that team truly poured into you because of all the pouring you pour into all of us.
Miss Driskill. Yes. I'm going to jump in. It was a happy birthday. My birthday was a month or so ago, but they held on to it.
Hey,
go ahead.
It's always your birthday. We have to celebrate your birth every single day. That is a joy in itself. So I am so glad that they did that for you. I wish I could have been there. I will come next time to see you. But yes, let's have a party in my backyard with a pizza oven night. Whoever wants to come is welcome to come. It's about 4.5 hours from Orange County. It's about little to over 2 hours from Fresno. So everybody's welcome. Well, I'm grateful to be here, and I just want to give it back to the greatest man. I could say he's one of the greatest men that ever lived in my life. So, it goes beyond what I can say and what I'm going to talk about. When you have someone like Mr. Thomas, no wonder he was showered by all the love, because when you have someone who believes in you and someone who will pour into you and someone who will see you before you see yourself, that is a gift. That is someone with a huge gift. And, it takes a lot to be Mr. Thomas, to continue to do what he does every single day of the week. And you can guarantee God has filled his soul. For him to be able to do what he does, you have to have God 100% encompassing your heart, your mind, because it's not easy to pull other people up when they don't believe in themselves. But he does that every single day. He is the rope for your up. If you can envision that, the rope for your up, and he will pull you up with it, and he'll hold on as tight as he can. It's only you that just chooses to let go. So thank you, Mr. Thomas, for all that you do. I love and adore you. So I'm going to dive in, and I actually have a little bit longer video today, but I had it cut and specifically designed for this particular training. Mr. Jabri Clemens, again, lifesaver and phenomenal leader who leads leaders, and I'm grateful for him to always be willing to help us in our trek through tech or trek through tech. I can do a lot of it now. He knows I'm able, but I am so not capable of everything. But I'm glad we have people alongside us like Mr. Jabri Clemens. So thank you, Mr. Clemens, for all that you do for us. So today I'm going to talk about being the CEO of you. But before I talk about that, I'm diving in to a message that one of my two favorites, I have 3 go-tos right now that I go to all the time. And one is Bishop Jakes, Pastor Stephen Furtick, and Dr. Darius Daniels. And what I will tell you, as you know, you've seen me do some training with Dr. Darius Daniels. Some of you have probably watched this, but I have cut a portion out that I'm going to talk about. And it is all about leadership. It's all about your God-given gifts, your God-given capacity that he gave you when you were born. And it is an interview of Pastor Furtick interviewing Bishop Jakes, building your vision from the ground up. and it is powerful. So let's dive in and take this in. And before I dive in, I want you guys to write down, maybe just even on your heart, even not if a piece of paper. What if? What if you locked into your God-given gifts? What if? And I want to also give this quote to you that Dr. Darius Daniels said on Sunday. In fact, I'm going to do a training on something he did on Sunday. You don't go as far as your dream. You go as far as your team. You don't go as far as your dream. You go as far as your team. Sometimes you need a new team to get to where you're going. All right, so let's dive in here.
So excited about this new book. So excited to talk to you about it tonight.
Thank you.
I've been reading it.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird though. I had to do my research to interview you, and so I put in Amazon because the book is subtitled "Build Your Vision from the Ground Up," and focuses on leadership, entrepreneurship. So I put entrepreneur in Amazon search, and over 56,000 results.
Wow.
Over 56,000 results. And then I put in leadership, over 257,000 results.
Amazing.
Which made me wonder, for my first official question of the interview, what was missing from the conversation that made you want to add your voice?
Timing. What we need depends on where we are in the history of this country. The topography of this country has changed in terms of how we make a living quite a bit, from agricultural. We went through that phase to industrial age, to the information age that we're currently in right now. And people have had to retool themselves in order to keep up with trends they didn't choose. Now we're in an era where people of my generation send our kids to school because we train them to think a job. And we said, if you go to school and you get a good education, you're going to come out and you're going to get a great job. And that was true when I was coming up. But that's not true today. Today you can, yeah, am I right about it? Today you can go to school, you can get a great education and come out with a good bill. A whole lot of debt and end up working at Burger King. Nothing against Burger King. But how do we, I have to be careful, brother, like we get sued on the regular. The question then becomes, how do we, with our education and our disappointment, living in our mother's house, sleeping on the couch, eating cereal at noon, retool ourselves so that we can be functional in the 21st century? I listen to the argument that our country's having right now. It's hard to listen to. But beneath all of the chatter, the red belt states and the inner cities are crying about the same thing: the lack of opportunity. And we're looking to the White House to solve the problem. And the reality is that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And we need solutions. And this goes beyond, we like to talk in terms of, we have nice terms for it, but it's really black and white, you know, urban and red belt states is really black folks, white folks. But now we're both getting broke. Okay, which is a scary situation. And you've got smart, bright, gifted, talented people who can't find an opportunity. Also in our community, and even in other communities, you have this dilemma of people who made mistakes when they were young, some criminal justice issue. And 25 years later, they can't get a job or a place to stay.
Right.
That's a real problem. So rather than to go get a job, I thought it was important to talk about being a job. You know, yeah, about being a job, about hiring yourself, about the opportunities that exist to create your own reality, your own business, your own company, to be the CEO of you. The CEO of you.
And I think it surprises a lot of people to hear you talk like that who are only familiar with you as a preacher.
You're right.
I mean, there's no doubt, okay, when I go to preach for Bishop Jakes, I've had the privilege to do it 3 times, I think.
Yeah.
I spend as long trying to figure out what I want to say in my introductory remarks to honor him because of what he's meant to me as I do on my message. And I never can quite find the words, but the last time I think I was with you, I gave you a nickname. I don't know if you remember, I called you the Slasher.
Yes.
And I called you that because I called him that because no matter what title someone would put with the name T.D. Jakes, they would have to put a slash after it.
Yes.
So you're a pastor slash author, New York Times best-selling, multiple #1, 793 weeks author, slash producer, slash record label executive, slash philanthropist, slash father, slash husband, slash. So I call him Slasher. Probably the first time you've ever been called that.
That got me an FBI investigation. Thank you very much.
At the heart of that nickname, though, is a lot of admiration. I wonder, when did you decide not to be limited by one title or one function?
I never knew that the way people described you would become a prison until they did it. When I met me, I was not a preacher. So I didn't know that they would incarcerate me with the title. You are at your best when you are authentic to your core, and you have to be what you are, not what they call you. Sometimes, you understand what I'm saying? Sometimes people will call you a name and you start living up to the name and it limits you from what else God wants to do in your life, you know? And by the way, I get a lot of credit for inventing this, but the credit is really misplaced. Because when you think of the Apostle Paul, he was a writer. He was a thinker, respected by the thinkers of his age at a time when there were profound thinkers in Paul's age, known for his ability to be progressive intellectually. He was a speaker, he was a writer, he was a tent maker. He was able to influence Aquila and Priscilla, not because of his preaching, but because of his business. They shared the same business. And out of that business influence and affluence, a relationship emerged that affected the kingdom. When you look at Jesus, who was a carpenter's son, and later they called him a carpenter, he who handled wood ended up nailed to a tree. And what happens in life as we evolve as a person, we cannot allow ourselves to be incarcerated by anything that people would describe us with, because we limit then what the Holy Spirit can do in your life. Mm-hmm. You understand?
I do.
Let me jump in and say this one quick thing. I think if Jesus had come in our day, he would have been a filmmaker. But because they didn't have films, he told parables. But if you think about it, parables are movies made of words. If he were to come today, he would have done films. Imagine how that would look like today. Most of what we call church, we would have to teach Jesus. Jesus never saw an usher. He never saw a greeting committee. Jesus never saw a choir. Jesus never met a deacon. Jesus never had a board. Jesus never had a whole lot of things that we would have to go through and say, now, Jesus, don't sit over there. That's the reserve section. And Jesus, when you get ready to leave, put your finger up, tip out. You know, these accoutrements that attach itself to religion often block our view from revelation. Yeah, and because I was raised by a dying father, born in between two dead babies, I really value the preciousness of life. The baby before me died and the baby after me died, and my mother clutched to me as only a mother can who has lost a child. and an appreciation for the value of life and a refusal to allow anybody to take away the great privilege of being alive. I will think for myself. I will move in my own direction. You can say whatever you want to say about it, but I'm gonna be me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At the core of everything, SOAR is saying, don't be limited. Don't put a period because you did one thing that you can't do something else, that you can't be something else, that you can't evolve as an individual, that you can't explore other idioms of thought. Let me shut up because I get to talking. I'll talk.
No, it's great. I want to dig deeper into that because the arc of your teaching and one of the most influential messages that I've received from you is get out of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you open your mouth, some version of that's going to come out. Maybe from the Old Testament, or maybe from a chicken's egg. You know, there's some way that you're going to tell me get out of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. I wondered though, because I've also heard you teach so much about your capacity, mm-hmm. that each person has a God-given capacity. Mm-hmm. For the person who is trying to decide, who am I, what can I do? I don't know yet. I haven't tried yet. I think I know what I have. I don't know if I have it or not. How do we know the difference between staying in our comfort zone versus going beyond our capacity?
You're only measured in terms of success by his investment in terms of contribution. If he gave one man 1 talent, another man 2 talents, and another man 5 talents, he didn't expect the man with 1 talent to produce 10, but at least give me 2. Mm-hmm. The man who had 2 talents came back with 4. The man with 5 talents came back with 10. The man with 2 talents came back with 4. The man with 5 came back with 10. Those are the same things. That's 100-fold. The man with 1 came back with nothing. Now, the Apostle Paul says that when we compare ourselves with one another, in so doing it is not wise, because we don't have the same starting place. So if I'm going to make success predicated on what my neighbor had, mm-hmm. that is only fair if I started with what my neighbor started with.
Let me ask this. What if I'm not clear about what I started with? Because I've heard you do this thing before too. Okay, the advantage I have interviewing you is I have a library of things that you've said. I don't think there's been a sermon.
I don't remember, by the way.
Yeah, so I have
I'm scared to death
the upper hand. But you do this thing, all right, I saw him do this thing at a preacher's conference once. And he said, I won't imitate your voice.
Go ahead.
He has this really intense mode. There's a wide open Bishop Jakes, and then there's a very intense, it's many gears, but it's equal intensity, and it's terrifying. But it was a pretty big moment, and you say, "There's nothing that I have that you don't have. I have 1 mouth. You have 1 mouth. I have 2 ears. You have 2 ears." And you know how descriptive he is. He went all the way to the toenails. And I'm just being honest, Bishop, respectfully, I was thinking, that's not true. You have this mind and this ability and this voice, even as a preacher who admires you so much. There's a part of me that goes, I know the point is that God has given each of us a calling, but I think a lot of us, when we hear about the parable of the talents, we don't know, well, do I have 1? Do I have 2? Do I have 5? I don't want to get out there and do something stupid that I wasn't meant to do, but I don't want to stop short.
You're really hitting on something. First thing, I am in touch with myself in a way that a lot of people are not. I know me. I dated me.
Cool.
Yeah. It's funny, but it's true. I've dated me. I know me. You know, when you date somebody, you explore them to see who they are. Yeah. Most people are so busy dating other people, they've never dated themselves. You understand? When God says to Adam, the very first command God says to Adam is to be fruitful. Yeah. You can only be fruitful if you are seedful. Okay, so we're talking about the difference between fruit and seed. Identifying your seed is what causes you to be fruitful. The first revelation of seed should happen in your family. You should have parents who are looking at their kids looking for seeds. I'm gonna give you my grandbaby story. You asked for it, you're gonna get it. You're just gonna get it. So we're in my church and it's dark and my grandbaby's in there and a bunch of friends are in there and we're taking pictures and I can't find the light. And the lights are complicated and I can't figure out how to turn all this stuff on. And so we're trying to get some pictures. And so my grandbaby ran and she says, wait a minute, Paul, I'm gonna get a flashlight. She went up under the pew where we have hidden flashlights, snatched down a flashlight and brought it over and said, now take the picture. And so I said to her, I said, baby, don't you wanna be, Kenzie, don't you wanna be in the picture? She said, no, I don't wanna be in the picture. I wanna hold the light. That's the seed right there. That's the seed right there. So we came back to the house and I was getting ready to take a picture and I'm trying to keep up with you millennials, it's so hard. And I was trying to take a selfie and I got a timer, where you can back up and go, if you follow me on Instagram, you know this is true. And so I couldn't get my phone to sit up. And she went and got some books and propped it up. And I told my daughter, I said, put her in leadership classes, put her in management classes. She's a problem solver. That starts early. Her instinct in a situation is to solve the problem. She says, I don't want to be in the picture, I want to hold the light. Those are seeds. Okay. Directing that child toward an area where you can cultivate what God has planted down inside of them is important. It's very, very important. Mm-hmm. There are people in this room that have dormant seeds laying inside of them, that if they get in the right atmosphere, they're going to turn into things you have never seen before. They didn't always have the benefit of parents who could see it or had time to see it or knew how to see it. But even as adults, there are still seeds down in you that have not been touched yet. That's what happened to Elisha. He was fulfilling his parents' vision, plowing in the field. That boy wasn't no farmer. Just because you can run a plow doesn't mean you're a farmer. But sometimes we get stuck in what people expect. Right. And we never find out who we are because we're living somebody else's dream. And so there he is plowing in the field doing what his daddy wanted and going around and said, I guess this is all life has for me. And he's going around and around in circles. Like many people are listening to me right now. You go to work, go to church, go home. Go to work, go to church, go home. Go to work, go to church, go home. You're plowing around in circles until Elijah passed by him. And then he was exposed to something. The moment he was exposed to something greater, he dropped something lesser. You understand what I'm saying? Got it. That's why conversations like this are important. Because really, I'm not throwing seeds, I'm throwing fertilizer. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if it hits a seed, it's going to give birth to companies and businesses and books and artistry and drama and all kinds of stuff that's in this room that people never have given themselves permission to burn their plow. Yeah. That's what this book is all about, Pastor. It is about, I'm not against people working a job, but we have entrepreneurs in a job, and you're frustrating the company and you. Nobody likes you.
Nobody likes you. I had to show that segment. You guys, it's 1 hour and 44 minutes. I took 17 minutes to dive into this topic because I would take the time. When you have an hour and 44 minutes, go back and watch that fully. If you've watched it, watch it over again. I listen to it and feed myself over and over. But I'm going to dive into breaking down some of this topic that he talked about, because we need to go into it further about the seed versus the fertilizer versus cultivating, the job being the job instead of having a job, right? Being frustrated in a job. Why? Because you're an entrepreneur, you're a leader. You were born to lead. That is the truth. We have been taught, just like Mr. Bishop Jakes had just said, we have been taught to go to school, get a good job. Those two don't go together. A good job does not, there's no good jobs out there, you guys. Yes, if you have to have a job in the meantime, I'm telling you, this conversation encompasses ACN at its finest, because we have the opportunity to be a slasher here in ACN. Mr. Thomas is not just a senior vice president. He is a slash. He's a dad. He's an entrepreneur. He owns multiple businesses. He's cultivated and launched churches. He's a slasher. And he has been able to do that prior, but because of ACN, he has done so much more and included more slashes in his portfolio. So I want to dive into this really quick. And I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go over some of these main topics. Let me get rid of the video, get into my screen here. So be the CEO of you. And I broke it down as claim everything and own it. That's what CEO stands for. Claim everything and own it. So when he dived in, he talked about timing. You guys have heard us talk about timing a lot. Timing is everything. And we are in the perfect storm of ACN. You've heard me talk about back in 2008, where those of you like Mr. Thomas were positioned in 2008 to take advantage of an economy that had tanked. In 2007, some of you were in position. And 2008, people started coming into ACN. People that would never have looked at ACN before, but because it made sense, this was the open door. This was the gift for them. And in January of 2009 is when Tony and our prayer was answered. And timing is everything. I have mentioned many times before that 2020 was 2008. 2021 is 2009. And what are you going to do with this timing? See, he talked about we're in a different age today. We're in the information age, right? We're no longer in the agriculture, the industrial age, the going to school and getting a good job, coming out with a great, he said, a good bill. It's a great big bill when you go to college. You guys, understanding to be able to have a company like ACN to be put in the nooks and crannies. You're going to see me in my whole notes that I have here. Every topic I'm talking about, every slide I'm going through, I have ACN circled around it, because timing and ACN is perfect. The perfect storm is now. And we are in the information age. And he talked about how to retool yourself, right? Retooling yourself and coming from a job, being in a job, all the different things, all the titles that you all have, depending on what it is that you're doing. I'm telling you, the reason I bring a lot of the biblical part, and Mr. Williamson, Mr. Thomas, Mr. Nelson, there's many of us that is our number one book go to. It is it is the number one leadership book out there. And that is why I'm sharing this topic today. And I shared that video. But one of the things he said was, the question becomes, how do we retool ourselves in the 21st century? See, everybody's talking about the lack of opportunity. We have the opportunity. The opportunity is ACN. You see Mr. Patrick Mazer on stage. He says, quit waiting for the opportunity. Opportunity is here, right? He's holding the video phone, but they don't show it anymore in that clip, right? But the opportunity is here. It's always been here. But there is timing in everything. There are many, right? It says everyone now getting broke, right? He's talking about black and white. Doesn't matter what color. Everybody's getting broke out there. You cannot live the life you want to live on an hourly wage or even a salary. You need multiple streams of income, for sure, but you need residual income. And what a great gift we have to bring to the world that doesn't even know about residual, but you're the vessel. It's got to come through you. So you got to become that leader and cultivate the seed that is down inside of you. We're going to talk about that in just a second. I say opportunity, that it's ACN, we have it. Some of these people are incarcerated, but are gifted. You're incarcerated by your title, whether it's manager, whether it's mom, whether it's, hey, you got to become the slasher, right? We do have the solution. And it's all about being the job, being the CEO of you. So let's talk about, are you incarcerated by your labels? Becoming that slasher, getting rid of the labels, that label that's put on you. I want you to think about this. You guys hear me when I open up any type of call overview or whatever. I say, you know, I'm just a girl. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a grandmother. I'm a girl that's had big dreams, right? So those are all titles and labels that I could just keep myself in that box. But because I didn't do that, I became a cosmetologist, a very successful one of 27 years. Then I married my husband, who in the construction industry. And prior to that, I did other things. I was in the clothing industry. I was an assistant manager for the limited company. I loved, fashion, and I still do. And he put me in that for a reason. He put me in my dad's office as his office manager to learn business for a reason, but I was not to be the manager, the title, the label forever. It dropped me into the dream that I had to be a cosmetologist for 27 years because my dad allowed me to work for him while going to school and be able to be a single mom at the same time. You know, it's pushing beyond your comfort zone. He talked about the capacity that we all are given, and we stay inside. I could have stayed in that manager job. I could have stayed as a cosmetologist. You know, I met my husband. I could have not jumped into his office and learned more and become something that I had inside of me too, which is an interior designer and landscape designer. That there's another slash. I still do that today. Then I see ACN and I see, I don't know what it was going to turn into, but ACN turned into so much more. It has put slashes, more slashes, like author. And, finishing my own book right now, it's actually developing a brand for me. So taking that label of, I'm wearing Tommy Hilfiger today. No, I'm going to be wearing my brand. And I do wear my brand, and Jabri knows it, of the series that I'm creating with my book. But the thing is it started with ACN for me to be able to open the doors to other things while I'm building to senior vice president, because I will be, are you saying that to yourself? You will be a senior vice president and a COC. And along the way, you're going to pick up other slashes. So see your capacity is bigger than what it is, and you got to get out of the boat. So your name, God said to Abraham, I will make your name great. He is going to make your name great. Believe that. Dig down deep in your soul, realizing that your name means something to him. It's not just for Abraham. It's for all of us, right? So on this particular one, he talked about don't put a period. Don't put a period at the end of your name. Don't make it a limit. Make it limitless, because that's what he's given you. Then he talked about being fruitful. Be fruitful, but you need to be seedful. Let's look at that a little bit. Everyone has a God-given capacity. How do we know the difference between comfort zone and capacity? And you heard the conversation that they had. And he talked about the story of the talents. The one, the man that had one talent brought back nothing. And he was saying, don't compare, because everybody starts somewhere different. Is that true or not true? It's true. Some of us had parents that cultivated some of those seeds in us, and some of us didn't have those parents. But don't limit yourself to what you didn't have, because there's things I didn't have that you did have. There's things that Mr. Thomas doesn't have that you do have. So stop comparing whether you have 1 talent, 2 talents, 5 talents. And you just need to multiply those talents. Don't be the one that has the one and brings back nothing. Double it, give it 100%, bring back 100%. You owe that to, I know I owe that to God. I got to produce more with the talents that I'm giving. So he talked about his granddaughter and the seed that she had and cultivating that seed, right? That's important. He talked about, how do you know what that seed is? Well, he talked about himself dating himself, right? Have you dated you? Have you dated you? Do you know you? You got to get to know you. Will you go out to lunch or dinner? I remember when being single and trying to figure out, who I am. See, where I truly found myself is in my late 20s and really found out who I was and the seeds that were inside of me. But I had to be comfortable in my own skin. I had to go out by myself, and I forced myself to go eat by myself and be comfortable with me and know me. Learn about myself and not be defined about the people I hung around or the family I grew up in or the brothers that teased me, and sometimes I would consider it bullying me. They made me stronger, so I give them that. But I'm just telling you, I didn't get defined by the people in my life at the time. I had to find me, and I had to start surrounding myself by people who would cultivate my seeds, right? That's something you need to do. Let's talk about that slide. Where am I here? So as adults, you still have seeds. See, I think that's a lot of things that happen to people, is that you think it's over. Like there isn't anything more you can do. There isn't anything more that God can do. See, it's not about what you can do. It's about what God can do. And that belief in that, see, this is my authentic self talking to you. Knowing that there are seeds that are dormant inside of you that ACN will cultivate. ACN, the company, by making yourself better as a leader, the system will grow you as a leader, but the people like Mr. Thomas, like a Natasha, like Chris and Rose King, and I can go on and on and on, a Julian Lewis, that will cultivate those seeds inside of you. And you heard me say earlier, it's not easy to be a leader, but it's harder, in my opinion, to be sitting in the boat and in your comfort zone. And I love the fact that in ACN, that development of being a leader shows so much more of yourself. It's not comfortable. Some people question their leadership because it feels, I know, I have these conversations with different people and they talk about, I don't know what my calling is and so forth. And I talked about passion last week, correct? And finding the passion, which will find your purpose. See, if you're feeling uncomfortable and uneasy, all it means is you're growing. You're that seed. You see that little bud coming out of the ground? See, the work is done under the ground. That's the hardest part. You're in the dark and you're under the ground. Before that, all the work is being done down. You've got it's got to be fertilized. It's got to be watered. That's what a leader does for other people. And along the way, you're being developed and growing more and more and more to become that, whether it's an oak tree or it's a beautiful flower or whatever it looks like. The work is done under the ground. You've seen the iceberg analogy as well. That iceberg sits above the water, very shallow a lot of the times. Most of the iceberg is underneath, right? So think about all that ACN does bring, not just the opportunity of creating a financial future of freedom, if you choose it to be, but all that it does to take the labels off of you and to help you become you, the CEO of you, helping you, your calling will show itself along the way in ACN. It has for me. If it has for me, it will for you. You just got to get busy and get to work and keep plowing, right? I mean, think about Elijah. He talked about Elijah, who's out there farming, and that's not all Elijah was about. He's not a farmer, as Bishop Jake said. He needed to burn the plow and tell something. When you were exposed, what did he say? When you were exposed to something greater, you drop something lesser. When you are exposed to something greater, you drop something lesser. ACN is the greater. All, those of you who have a career or a job, or you're a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad, or all the different things that you do, or your combination of those, there's something greater for you, because there's something greater in you, that you and all of us are in these leaderships are cultivating that seed in you. And if you're feeling agitated, hey, it's either because the enemy is saying, no, I don't want you to go to your greater, or it's God saying, I'm getting you uncomfortable and moving. See, the storm, I said this in a post the other day, the storm isn't necessarily to break you and to come and destroy you. The storm is to move things out of the way for you to open up new doors, new horizons, the greater you inside of you, and drop that lesser that you keep putting the label back on you. So you got to give yourself permission to burn the plow. I'm granting it to you. Mr. Thomas is granting it to you. You got to give yourself permission to burn that plow that you are being defined by, and allow God to get in there and work all of those things, taking your talents and getting out there and doubling them and tripling them in ACN. And that's not just about money, that's about people. Think of all the people who are waiting for you. See, I'm grateful that Mr. Thomas said yes. If Mr. Thomas didn't say yes to ACN, who knows where any of us would be? We might not be living in the dream. We might not be living that slash. We talk about the dash. It's the dash between the day you were born and the day you die, and how you live it. You want to know, you want to see what that is. You want people to see what that dash is like for you when you're gone. And you can do all that here, but you've got to burn the one plow you keep holding on to, and being that label of who you're not. That was just temporary. So is this you? See, he goes on further after what I showed you. He goes on and talks about being lazy. He says, it's pretty funny. He says, one thing that I hate is lazy men and stinking women. And he says it in his own Bishop Jake's way, right? But lazy for any of us. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. But is this you? Is this the bear? This is the bear that has decided to, I'm going to sleep in. I'm laying on this rock with the sun shining on me. I'm going to stay right here in my comfort zone, right? This is comfortable right here. So you're not getting up in the morning. See, he goes on to talk about you got, let me use his words exactly. You got to devour the prey in the morning so that you can divide the spoils in the evening. You got to devour the prey in the morning so you can divide the spoils in the evening. So is this you? Are you on your grind? Are you out there? That bear is on a waterfall, and here comes the salmon or the fish jumping upstream, whatever that is. Is that you? Are you going out, getting up in the morning, putting yourself together? See, in a time with Zoom, and a time where you're not going out, the world's starting to open up a little bit more, thank goodness. Though I haven't let it stop me getting out there. But I'm telling you, we've gotten lazy and not getting out of bed early, getting our workout on, or getting whatever it is and putting ourselves together, doing our, for you women, for us women, it takes us a little bit longer, but we got to do it. We got to do our hair, put our makeup on, get ourselves ready, put our big girl panties on, put your big boy panties on, and get dressed and get on a Zoom or get on a call. Just because you're calling people, texting people, doesn't mean you shouldn't be ready. You got to get ready to grind in the morning, because you won't feel like continuing it. You got to make yourself feel good. Put yourself together, you guys, and get on your go fishing. Get going, get that fishing rod out and get fishing every single morning. devour the prey so you can divide the spoils in the evening. It starts in the morning. And vision. So he's talking this whole series that he's talking in this interview, he's talking about vision. So vision, that I love this because that's what my dad was. Was an incredible architect. And a vision, this is Bishop Jake's statement in the video. Vision is like architecture. If you plan it with a pencil, you can weld it with steel. But it's very strategic. What I wrote down is it's strategic. It's preparation and planning. Preparation and planning is what in ACN? It's goal setting. It's every Sunday before your week starts, you should have goals and you should be accountable to someone besides yourself, because realistically, that's all you are, is accountable to yourself. By being accountable to someone else, is your goals need to be set on paper. Put the goals, my goals are sitting right here next to me, on paper. So that pencil, plan it with a pencil, then you can weld it with steel. Then your vision will start coming alive. That's how you build it from the ground up. That's how you build vision. Because some people tell me, I don't know how I have the vision. I don't know what that looks like. I haven't seen anything. You got to build it. You got to plan it first. It's very, very strategic in what you do, which is making sure you're writing it down every single week and putting it down on paper with goals. What are your goals this week? See, remember I asked you to open this up with what if? What if you became that leader? What if you were an SVP? What if you just took a different step today to be a different you today, which is the CEO of you? Instead of someone like Mr. Thomas telling you what you should be doing, or having someone telling you what you should be doing. You know what to do. The system tells you what to do. And you just got to take those steps. But what if those steps, that one step you took today, so hearing something in this message today that caused you to get another piece of your vision, which is strategic planning, writing it down, and your steel building coming into place, which is RD, Regional Vice President, Senior Vice President. What if? What if you got a no today? Are you going to die? What if you got a yes? Don't take a no and a yes any differently. Until someone does something, even if it's a yes, I don't get it. I'm not excited about it. I just keep moving. You got to just keep moving. Get out of your comfort zone. Stop being lazy. Go fishing. Understand the timing of this business. And start, not just be someone cultivating you, be the cultivator of seeds and be the fertilizer on those seeds to grow. So remember what the statement I said from Dr. Darius Daniels? Remember what it said? You don't go as far as your dream, you go as far as your team. And you got to cultivate seeds to have that team. But in the meantime, you have to be the leader that people want to follow. You have to be the leader that people want to follow. And you got to know you, date you every single day, and become more of that greatness that is absolutely inside each and every single one of you. And go SVP. Put SVP down on your piece of paper right now. I am a senior vice president, Circle of Champions. If Aaron Burt can do it, you can. If Chanel Burt can do it, ladies, you can. Remember, she was a single mom, and what was she? An aerospace engineer or something? Rocket engineer? Busy, but she had a why, and she locked into her passion. I told you last week, I'm not passionate about cell phones, TV, internet, merchant processing, identity theft protection. I'm passionate about what that money can do for the future for our family and residual income, but I'm more passionate about changing lives with the opportunity that we have with ACN, who would never have any opportunity like this if it wasn't for me connecting them to this company. They get to choose yes or no. I just need to make sure that I'm sharing it and I'm fishing every single day. Is that you? So with that being said, Mr. Thomas, I'm grateful to have the time. You know, I know we're pushing 10 o'clock here. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I don't always do that. If you have any questions or want any anything answers to your thoughts or anything that you saw in here that actually hit you, that something that really hit you, I would love for anybody to ask or share. Has any questions or want to say anything? Last chance, but I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Thomas. Thank you for cultivating the seeds inside of me. I will just speak for me and believing in me, because I'm telling you, it takes time and effort to put this together. It takes getting out of your comfort to get on here, be vulnerable, be authentic, speak your heart. This is not what I used to do. This is not something that I did in the past. And I know that it's a slash in my slasher. You know,
well, dear, you
me.
showed everybody love today, just like Fresno showed me love this weekend. When you get off the plane, you have a big surprise party for you. I know I had a barbecue. I mean, see, that's love. Don't tell me, show me. I'm from Missouri, and I appreciate you. And today you really showed everybody, because it took time to put this. That's what I love about our speakers. They take time to go into depth and in details, and not just talking. They have something to show for it. And the quality of content was off the chain. So thank you, dear, from the bottom of our heart. You're just a superstar. Thank you so much. We love you. And thank you so much. Have a blessed week. Everybody, we thank Ms. Jocelyn Driskill. Start our Monday off. Matter of fact, start a week off with this, because this is powerful. Remember, be the CEO of you.